Lorraine and I am pleased to present the NASBA Awards for the 2011 year. The NASBA Awards are for the William H. Van Rensselaer Public Service Award, the NASBA Distinguished Service Award, and the Lorraine P. Sachs Standard of Excellence Award. Our committee this year worked very hard. It was comprised of past Chair Andy Marinkovich, Carol Schuster, Daniel Sweetwood, and Michael Winchell. We solicit nominations for these awards throughout the year, and in April and July, from April to July, we review the nominations and make these very difficult decisions. Our slate of candidates every year is impressive and tests the decision-making abilities of the board, but we're pleased to note that our recommendations were unanimously accepted by the Board of Directors of NASBA in July of 2011. The first award we're going to present today is the William H. Van Rensselaer Public Service Award, and that award goes to Sandra A. Saran, CPA. Sandra Saran currently serves as Chief Executive Officer of the Saran Corporation, a Portland-based consulting firm specializing in comprehensive change management for small and large corporations. Prior to founding the Saran Group in 1990, Sandra was founder and audit and consulting partner of one of Portland's largest public accounting and consulting firms, Saran & Company CPAs. That firm merged with KPMG in 1985, and she subsequently became an audit and consulting partner with KPMG, serving in the National Middle Market Steering Committee. In 1981, Sandra became the first woman appointed as chair of the Oregon State Board of Accountancy. Her respected understanding of business also led the state of Washington to hire Sandra to develop a strategic plan for small businesses in Oregon and to lead the implementation of the small business programs for the state. From 1984 to 1985, she served as president of NASBA, becoming the second woman to hold this organization's top office. Under her leadership, she led NASBA's first strategic planning process, which required bringing the 54 at that time jurisdictions together to create a common plan. The results resulted in the development of new service offerings and a new mission for NASBA, which ultimately led to the organization's financial independence that you'll see today later on in the financial report. In 1986, Sandra, along with her successor, past chair Tom Eno, testified before a congressional committee as representative of NASBA. Additionally, through her extensive involvement with the AICPA, she helped raise the AICPA board's and leadership's respect for NASBA as an invaluable contributor and partner to the accounting profession. In addition to serving on NASBA's board of directors, she's also dedicated her time and talents to several NASBA committees, including the Past Chair Advisory Council, the Communications Committee, the Enforcement Committee, State Board Relevance and Effectiveness Committees. She is a graduate of the University of Portland, has a 30-year background in accounting and consulting, and a genuine passion for positive and effective change. She has been well positioned as a respected leader within the accounting profession on both local and national platforms. In addition to her service to the profession, she has also contributed her skills to many other leadership positions, including directorships on the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, the Oregon Mutual Insurance Company, and Business Bank of Oregon. Please join me in welcoming Sandra Saran to the NASBA podium for her remarks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back to your podium. First, to my friends working in and for this wonderful and very important profession, thank you with all my heart for this wonderful and great honor. It is a special honor because it is named after my good friend and wonderful mentor, Bill Van Rensselaer. I am aware that NASBA doesn't often go back 20 years for award recipients. I am aware that this is a propitious event, a time for looking back at progress over the last 17 years of David Costello's tenure. Even more important, I am aware that state boards and the profession are at a crossroad. Although I no longer do audits, I have used my auditing and accounting skills on every management consulting project I have done over the last 20 years. I use those auditing skills, including systems thinking, organization assessments, and diagnostic interviewing on projects as diverse as helping to build a university marine mammal program into a strong, independent, and successful marine mammal institute, and linking public and private organizations to establish a county-wide collaborative center for child abuse victims, as well as many other public and private growth-focused initiatives. In every one of those projects, I used and appreciated my audit background. So, as CPAs, we have core skills that can help all organizations in many different ways. But aside from these basic capabilities, CPAs have a reserved role. We are the critical cog in the wheel of financial regulation. We take an oath to protect the public. That is the reason for our license. If legislators knew and understood that, they would not treat state boards of accountancy or accountancy boards as just another administrative board. If all CPAs truly accepted and affirmed that important role, they would vehemently protest to their legislator friends who asked them about the merits of sunset and umbrella agency legislation. If the public knew about our critical role, they would be horrified to hear about proposed legislation that reduces the effectiveness of accountancy boards. And if board members themselves truly accepted this role and responsibility, they would focus more attention on how to better protect the public and less on nitpicky functions that often rile and antagonize their CPA customers. Yes, the administrative functions are important, but they can be done with a different attitude, an attitude of helping CPAs and potential CPAs to understand the importance of their public service role, rather than the gotcha attitude that most CPAs perceive in their state boards. And as we heard yesterday, perception is everything. In the public's best interest, the public needs to be aware of our important role to help them. State boards need NASBA's central leadership and resources to help them do their job of protecting the public. Because of David Costello's and the work that you have all done over the last 17 years with him, NASBA is on the way to becoming the kind of organization I describe in my new book, which is based on my experiences. It is called the Resilient Organization, Gaining Strength with a Collective Heartbeat. NASBA is much stronger now. Many more people recognize its value. Thank you, David. Thank you, state board members, for the wonderful work that you have done over the last 20 years to build this organization to greater strength. And thank you for the steps that you are taking now to promote awareness of NASBA and state boards of accountancy and the critical role they play in promoting transparency and accountability in financial reporting.
On behalf of NASBA, Board of Directors, and all of us assembled here today, I present this award, and it's my great pleasure, to Sandra Saran. Our next award recipient for the NASBA Distinguished Service Award is Philip W. Gleason, CPA. Philip W. Gleason, CPA, is currently the sole shareholder of Philip W. Gleason Limited, a certified public accounting firm based in Bloomington, Minnesota. As a testament to his commitment to the profession, he has held memberships in both the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Minnesota Society of CPAs since 1968. From 1992 to 2004, Phil dedicated 12 years of yeoman service to the Minnesota State Board of Accountancy, serving 2 years as chair. His service to that board included memberships on several committees, including the Executive Committee, Exam and Licensure, CPE, Complaint Services, Practice Monitoring, and Legislative and Rules Committees. Under his leadership, several legislation initiatives were passed, including the housekeeping legislation of 1999, granting the board authority over unlicensed financial statement preparers, and they also passed the Uniform Accountancy Act legislation in 2001. He also served in that year as chief author of the UAA rules implementing the 2001 Uniform Accountancy Act. Phil's involvement began in NASBA in 1992, where he served as a delegate until 2004. A former member of NASBA's Board of Directors, he is past chair of the Relations with Members Boards and the CPE Advisory Committee. His service on the CPE Advisory Committee included preparation and participation on the task force that drafted the Statement on Standards for Continuing Professional Education that remains in force today, as well as establishing NASBA's first Continuing Professional Education Conference. Further, Phil has served NASBA as a Central Regional Director and a member of the Annual Meeting Planning Committee, Awards Committee, the CPA Licensing Exam Committee, and the Examination Review Board, the ERB. During his tenure on the ERB, the Uniform CPA examination transitioned from the paper to pencil format to the computer-based format that we enjoy today. He currently is a member of the CPA Examination and Administration Committee. And another note for Phil, in demonstration of his years of success in this profession, in 1967, he passed the AICPA exam with a score that won him the President's Award for the highest grade in Minnesota and the Elijah Watt-Sells Honorable Mention Award nationally. He's a graduate of the University of Minnesota. Phil and his wife, Patricia, are proud parents of 4 children and 6 grandchildren. Please join me in welcoming my good friend Phil Gleason to the NASBA podium.
I wasn't real sure that Tom was talking about me when I heard that. Well, let's see, a dozen eggs, pound of bacon. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Thank you, Tom. I'd like to thank the awards committee for selecting me for this great honor, and to the board of directors for confirming that. I'd like to thank many people I owe a vote of thanks for. Whatever I was able to accomplish, I certainly didn't do it by myself. But just a few in particular, I'd like to thank my longtime friend, Michael Weatherwax, for his encouragement and support. Thank my good friend and mentor, Asa Hord, for his leadership and dedication to the Examination Review Board. But most importantly, I want to thank my wife, Pat, who kept the home fires burning, grass mowed, snow shoveled, children disciplined and loved, in my many absences for NASBA tasks and meetings. And I also like to thank David Costello for his leadership and his fostering a sense of family in NASBA, and for the high esteem in which he holds all volunteers. David, you made it very easy to be a volunteer, and for that I thank you. I'll be sad to see you go, but I certainly wish you and Sally a most wonderful retirement. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the NASBA Board of Directors and us assembled here today, it's my great pleasure to present this award to my good friend, Phil Gleason, for his years of service. Congratulations, Phil. Thank you. Our final award, the NASBA, let's see, our final award will be presented by Lorraine P. Sachs, Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of NASBA Emeritus. Lorraine, please join the podium.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm delighted that we honor Barbara Porter as the 2011 recipient of the Standard of Excellence Award. I've known Barbara since she started with the Idaho State Board in August 1996, and our professional relationship has developed into a warm friendship. Barbara is that kind of wonderful person, calm even under trying situations, extraordinarily generous in her professional as well as personal relationship, and lots of fun too. In the brochure you have in front of you, you'll find details of her outstanding accomplishments, which she has performed with grace, not only for the benefit of the Idaho Board and for NASBA, but for the accounting profession itself. With exceptional communication skills, interest in technology, and thoughtful consideration of issues, Barbara identified and introduced improvements for her board, despite only having a small staff. Her suggestions for change to Idaho's Accountancy Act and rules put Idaho among the first states to adopt mobility, require ethics CPE, and implement a formal enforcement process. She produced an award-winning board website that served as a model for other states and introduced online license renewal when many other states were reluctant to move in that direction. NASBA has also been fortunate that Barbara has been willing to give of her time by serving on a number of committees. Her long involvement with the Executive Directors Committee, including serving as its chair, demonstrated her leadership skills and earned her support and respect from her colleagues. She was a major force in the work of the CBT Administration Committee as it planned for the transition to a computerized CPA exam, certainly a full-time assignment in addition to our daily workload associated with state activities. Also on the national scene, Barbara received recognition with her 3-term appointment to the AICPA Board of Examiners, where she provided valuable input and made a lasting impression. For her outstanding achievements, significant contributions, and continuing support, it's my pleasure to present the Standard of Excellence Award to Barbara Porter.
Thank you for that introduction, Lorraine, and thank you for being the namesake of such a meaningful award. I'm humbled to find myself as today's recipient and honored to think that my colleagues find my contributions worthy of such recognition. The awards committee faced a daunting task when they made this selection because the pool of my peers has so much depth. I think of the peers who have gone before me in accepting this award: Carol Sigmund, Bill Tracy, Dan Dustin. The peers who stand beside me at the day-to-day operations of the board and facing the national issues, people like Dan Sweetwood, Vicki Winfeld, Rick Sweeney, Pamela Hills, and that list goes on and on. And then I think of the numerous peers who are going to go on beyond me, the people with the bright minds and the initiative that will pave the way for future progress in regulation of this profession and protection of the public. When I pause to think about what this award stands for, I realize it's summed up in the title: Lorraine P. Sachs, Standard of Excellence Award. I can reflect over the last 15 years with my affiliation with NASBA. What a wonderful organization and wonderful people. I see the ways that different executive directors have demonstrated their standards of excellence. They help their boards and they help NASBA in these common goals, and they're here to engage in progressive methods to meet the public's expectation of our regulatory boards. Over the years, I've been able to watch my peers' actions, and I've listened to their advice. As a young and striving executive director, yeah, I still think of myself as young when I started 15 years ago, I was able to distill what I saw and what I heard, and I tried to take it back for application in our own state. Hopefully, I was bringing a standard of excellence to Idaho. And as you know, Idaho is a small state, demographically speaking, not geographically speaking. But our candidate population numbers, our licensee numbers, the volumes of complaints, they pale in comparison to what my peers in the larger states face. But we in the small states, we have the same responsibilities. We just have to find ways to do more with less, and we need to be a jack of all trades. I never would have been able to strive for the improvements at the Idaho Board if it weren't for the support of my board members, both past and present. Today I have 5 board members in the audience, and I'd love it if you'd stand so that people can recognize what the Idaho board members, who they are and what they've done for us. Would you please stand? These fine women and men and their predecessors have been my support system. By backing me, they allowed me to go beyond the constraints of doing the same thing year after year, day after day, the same way. Their support has allowed us to strive for standards of excellence. And thank you so much for nominating me for this award. But the board support is only one piece of the puzzle. 2 key people, Larry Hunter, the board's legal counsel, and Sue Lennon, our head in licensing and CPE, both deserve a huge share of the credit for Idaho's strides towards excellence. Would you please stand, be recognized? But of course, my personal and largest share of this puzzle, it comes from the people in my personal life. And 2 of the 3 most important men in my life are here today. My son, Eric, my husband, Dave. Would you please stand and let me recognize you? I only wish our oldest son, Jonathan, was here to join us today, the 3rd of those 3 important men. Dave has been a solid supporter of my work from day one. He's always seen the value of regulating this profession, and he understands that accountants offer the services that are a cornerstone to our world's economy. And Eric, well, many of his formative years were while I was working as Idaho's exec, and some of you on the Executive Directors Committee will remember how I stretched my term on that committee out year after year after year. I was waiting for Eric to graduate from high school, and at that point in time, then I was ready to jump in as the committee chair. And now here we see our son finishing up his master's degree. It's wonderful for me to have him and his father here today to share in my pleasure in receiving this award. This award touches my heart deeply. The woman whose name this award carries is dear to me, personally and professionally. To be recognized for the years I've spent attempting to bring improvements to my board brings me joy. I think back 15 years ago to those manual paper processes, the unsophisticated way that we handled complaints, the tedious enforcement of administrative hoops that did little to protect the public. And I smile to see where Idaho's at now. Computerized interfaces for our candidates and licensees, investigative procedures that run like a well-oiled machine, smooth administrative procedures. It was the leveraging of the knowledge that the other people in this room brought to me that's helped Idaho strive towards excellence. There's a wonderful quote that's been attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, sometimes to a woman named Bessie Stanley. No one really knows where it came from, but I smiled yesterday at the luncheon speaker when he talked about Webster's definition of success, because this quote always talked about success, and its bottom line was, to have succeeded is to leave the world a better place. Well, I hope as I leave my position with the Idaho State Board of Accountancy that my efforts have had fruit, and that I will be leaving the board a better place for my successor and for its stakeholders. But the quote also says, to have succeeded is to know that even one life breathed easier because you lived. Well, for all of you who have shared so much with me, I want you to rest assured that you have succeeded because you've made me breathe easier, you've lightened my load many times, and you have bestowed an honor on me today for which I will always be grateful. Here's to continued success to NASBA and state boards. You're a great team.
Chair Michael, this concludes the presentation of the awards and the report of the awards committee. How about another great round of applause for our award winners today? Thank you.